Like I told you before we went on that break, we'll be looking at the level of insecurity and how it will affect agricultural production, food production on the plateau. We've seen the governor, talk about back farms. About 1,000 youths have been engaged into that very back farm. And the level of production is one thing we will surely want to see in the future to see what exactly do. We heard works have already started there, but level of harvest and of course production, what will these 1,000 youths do? That will be one on the side in order to curtail the food insecurity that we might be having, considering the farmer has been displaced from their ancestral lands and they can't actually do all of these things. Joining me now this morning to talk about this issue is the Deputy Publicity Secretary of the Middle Belt Forum. I'm talking about Dr. Stephen Kavwam. Sorry, Dr. Stanley Kavwam. Pardon me on that one. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure.
Good morning, Plateau.
Yeah, Dr. Stanley. It's a good one to see you here this morning. Lots of interesting issues to talk about regarding the region itself. Let's talk about the level of insecurity. It seems just one state is out of all of this trouble in the whole of Middle Belt. Middle Belt region. Kwara State. It was mentioned last week that 3 people were killed in Kwara State. Niger State also has not been free from tanker explosion to marauders attacking to the flood disaster that happened 2 weeks ago. Somewhere in Mokwa, local government of the state. Benue State has been under siege. Plateau State again, has been facing its own share of insecurity, where farmers have been displaced. You see attack last for 3 to 4 days, and you wonder where are the security people, on the, in this very state. Now, all of this, we are looking at the side where Nasarawa State is not really affected per se, and because of how, I don't know for what reason, but Abuja also, being the federal capital territory, there has been so much effort by the Minister of FCT and of course the security architectures there to stop every issue of insecurity that has been affecting that very state. Let's talk about the region. How we see the middle belt.
Good morning, Plateau. I'm glad to be here, and the tragedy of our collectivity is that we don't even understand our context. To be a truth teller in this country, it's to be an endangered species, because speaking truth to power and being unapologetic about the truth offends the sensibility of almost anyone who thinks or believes in the protection of the old order. I don't know how long I will keep drumming this, but the fact remains that I've stated on Arise TV, on several interviews on News Central and all of that, that the tragedy of our collectivity is the fact that we keep treating problems, on the top of a tree, rather than going to the roots. Okay. A tree has roots, a trunk, branches, and then leaves. All that you're talking about are just leaves. But the root of the problem, of the tragedy that we're contending with, has never, ever been the preoccupation of government or critical stakeholders. And the thing is, when you come out to speak the truth, and to attack those who are so obstinate and resilient in mortgaging the life of thousands of people, millions of people, generations even yet unborn, for their self-centered pedestrianism and narrow-mindedness, you are labeled as an enemy of the state. All that you've been talking about, for instance, on this station, you've been talking about farmers being displaced, communities being ransacked, and all of that. But are you aware that on this same plateau, the Ruga, the infamous Ruga, which was rejected during the Lalong's administration, is being launched on the plateau, and everybody is quiet and silent about it?
Where exactly is it being launched?
In Wasi. I believe you are aware of that.
Of course I do.
The governor received the minister who came, the minister of livestock transformation, who came to do that. Now the point is this: when everybody keeps quiet over that, and we look away, and we pretend as if it is all okay, your people are being killed, communities being ransacked, and instead of addressing that concern, you are now what? Inviting Fulani to come from all parts of Africa.
Okay, now let's talk about.
Does it make sense?
No,
No, the thing is, look, the thing is this. We're talking about insecurity.
Of course.
And the thing is this, you cannot address a problem without understanding where it's coming from. So the thing is this, we have to be unapologetic about the truth. It doesn't make sense. So the thing is this, now it's Plateau predominantly a community of livestock keepers? The answer is no. We're predominantly farmers. Why can't the federal government launch the Ruga, that's the rural grazing area in Katsina, or in Kano, or in Sokoto, or in Zamfara, where we know that largely the population are pastoralists? Why Plateau? And we're talking about the governor of okay, let me just take it to Benue.
Okay.
The governor finally came out to admit that it's politicians based in Abuja that are sponsoring the attacks in Benue. Has he been able to name anyone?
At all.
The point is this. So what does it tell you? Commander Olawumi came on air and said over 300 financiers of terror, the list of 300 financiers of terror submitted to the federal government. Have they been able to name one person? Good luck Jonathan came out to admit that he has financiers of terror in his government. Have they been able to name one person? So the thing is this, for how long? How many more will die? How many more will we bury in Bokos, in Bassa, in all parts of Plateau, in all the parts of the Middle Belt before we can now confront the truth? The thing is this, what's the value of human life? What's the value of human life? The same breath you breathe is the same that all these persons in unmarked graves, in all these, in all these mass graves that saturate the length and breadth of our land, occupy. And they have dreams, they have hope, they have aspirations. They could be better than all of us sitting here discussing all of this. Is it not an insult on the memory of all the people who have died that we come here and sit down and deodorize the truth, romanticize it, and make it look as if we are just, as if it's like, we're on a cruise. No, it doesn't make sense. The point is, we have to get to a point where we truly can confront the truth as inconvenient as it is. It's not about politics. It's not about party and all the nonsense. Name one politician on the plateau that is rich, that can cough out 1 billion naira now. There's none. So what are we talking about? So at the end of the day, what have you achieved? Yes, you build maybe a big mansion and all that, and that's all. Do we have any one person on the plateau that earns or generates profit in the excess of, let's say, 100 or 200 or 500 or 1 billion naira on a day, on a daily basis? The answer is no. We're economically prostrate. Our people are being killed. We are backward. Let me be frank with you. Development,
Yes.
it's, in the words of Julius Nyerere, it starts and ends with the people. Building roads, schools, skyscrapers, all infrastructure, all indices of development, which point to the fact that there could be development. For instance, if you build schools and you cannot use the four walls of the classroom to transform the minds of the individuals who go into them, it does not amount to development. If you build hospitals and you cannot use those hospitals to provide functional health care to the populace, it has not amounted to development. So the thing is this, at the end of the day, you realize that what we call or what we have ended up defining as development or as governance is just growth. And growth is a normal process. Like you are born today, and in the next 10 years you must grow.
Of course.
Whether you are developing or not,
Yes.
you must grow.
All right. It's also now from all you've said, you mentioned about the roots, and which you said, you talked about Ruga in Wasi. Now, where the Minister of Livestock came on, and it was commissioned also. The governor was also present there. Let's look at all of this together. Should we say, from what we are talking about, those people who call the pastoralists, or those people who are actually into cattle herders, because there are a lot of claims there. The Tortib have actually mentioned clearly that this is being done by Fulani herders without any mincing of words. He said that. We've also had several people who have said they are Fulani herders. The Katsina local government chairman on the same platform, he mentioned that these people are Fulanis, they are herders. Our local government chairman here on the platform, they've also said the same thing, that these guys are Fulanis, they are not by Fulanis. Now, knowing all of this, that this is the root of the problem, what do you think is holding the government back in fighting?
No, okay, you know what? It's utterly preposterous when I hear the different, what will I say, like the different sides of the same area of Benue State.
Yes.
Came out earlier to say that the people wreaking havoc on Benue are foreigners.
Of course, he said so.
Lately, he granted an interview on channels and he was calling them what? Abuja politicians, that they are the ones. So what are we talking about?
They're no longer foreigners.
So you see, the thing is this: the tragedy of our collectivity is that the middle belter, because of the inferiority and the superiority complex that was facilitated by the British colonialists. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And more perniciously structured by a gang of reprobates, which I would call them a bankrupt indigenous leadership, who have failed to reform and transform the exploitative colonial political economy of the British into a self-sustaining and into a self-sustaining system that would attack inequality and ensure that egalitarianism thrives in our nation, remains the reason we are where we are today. So, let me just give you a brief historical background to all of this madness. Plateau is not historically a Fulani territory. Before the Usman Dan Fodio Jihad of 1804, our parents, or our forebears or ancestors, used to accommodate these Fulanis into their communities, which were called Zangus. They would come, they would graze their cattle during the rainy season, during the dry season, and during the rainy season, they would now leave for the farmers to understand farm. And then the dung from these Zangus were being used by farmers as manure or as fertilizers for their farms. Eventually, because they were having a very, very cordial and harmonious relationship with our forebears, eventually those Zangus that our forebears were given to these Fulanis eventually became communities inhabited by Fulanis. When the Usman Dan Fodio Jihad was waged in 1804, they left, went and collected the flag of Dan Fodio, which was called Tutan Usmana, came back, waged war on the host communities, enslaved them, established emirate system, and they were now using these community members whom they have turned into slavery as taxes to the Sokoto Caliphate. They were moved to Sokoto Caliphate, and then some eventually to Kano, which was the biggest slave market in northern Nigeria. From there to Cairo in Egypt, and from Cairo to other parts of Europe. Some of them were taken to Europe and were made to work as slaves on the plantations of Europeans. Some were castrated as eunuchs and made to serve in the palace of Arabs in the Arab world. Now, that historical antecedent is what underpins my rejection of Ruga. You want to build a rural grazing area for pastoralists.
Yes.
The first I want to believe is that you go to a place where the large population are pastoralists. Places like Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, Sokoto, and the rest. Not Plateau, where all 80% of the population are largely farmers. What have you done for the people who are rearing pigs? The people who are into poultry and the rest of them? Those are the things that we know. Now, the tragedy is that we know all the places from all the where these terrorists, unleash their terror. You mentioned Nasarawa, for instance.
Yes.
That Nasarawa appears to be peaceful and all of that. Now let me tell you the truth. It is simply because Nasarawa houses the terrorists in Mahanga, which lies at the valley of the Bokos Hills, bordering Wamba to the south.
Yes.
That is a base from which they attack. Southern Kaduna, attack Plateau, and then even parts of Benue. There's another camp in Gishiri, which is after Tunga when you're crossing over to Taraba.
Yes.
In our local government. That's another base from which they attack the thieves in Benue and even the Chukuns. There's another base in Doma, which is called Rukubi, It's from there that they attacked the thieves, the Idomas in Agatu, Otupo, even West. Are you saying that the security forces or the intelligence, the security forces are not aware of this? They are. But why have they decided to what? Keep mum on that. Now, let me just give you the foundational base of all this madness. Between the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, Middle Eastern Muslim countries like Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan came and recruited Nigerians, took them and indoctrinated them in the philosophy of Said Qutb. And some were taken to Pakistan and they were indoctrinated in the philosophy of Maulana Maududi. What is the philosophy of this few Islamic clerics? It was built on how to establish an Islamic state. How do you establish an Islamic state? You establish an Islamic state through first indoctrination. When indoctrination fails, you now use your disciples or adherents to infiltrate ranks and institutions of government, police, the judiciary, the executive, name all of them.
But has that worked?
And then, excuse me, and then I will explain all that. I'm saying I am an academic, so I don't just make claims.
Of course.
After that, when that fails, they now begin to use those adherents whom they have sent and infiltrated the ranks of government to compromise the capacity of the state, to ensure that they are able to create an Islamic state. When that fails, finally they use or resort to jihad. For instance, Sunday Jackson in Adamawa State was hanged by the Supreme Court of Nigeria for defending himself when a terrorist, a Fulani terrorist, attacked him on his farm, stabbed him multiple times, and in self-defense, he was able to finally retrieve the sword that the attacker used on him, and he was able to kill him. The Supreme Court of Nigeria sentenced him to death by hanging. That's what does that tell you? It tells you about what I have just established. How did Yusuf commence his mission? That's the founder of Boko Haram. He started preaching in the Indian mosques in Maiduguri, going around places. People burned their certificates, and all of that. Eventually, his adherents, those who believed in that philosophy, and which is actually a repeat of the Metasina anyway, the Metasina, the Kalakatul, and the Taliban, which predates all of this madness you see today. But all that you're doing is the same thing. So the thing is, if you understand the philosophy of these fundamentalists, and if you juxtapose what they are doing against what the Nigerian state, which as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended, declares and upholds the secularity of the Nigerian state. Even the declaration of Sharia by northern governors was treason. Nnamdi Kanu came out to say that he wants the Igbos or the Biafra to secede from the Nigerian Federation. He has been charged with treasonable felony. Has the government charged any of the governors that imposed Sharia on this country for treason? The answer is no. He was actually even allowed to die a natural death. The point is this: there are many. The issues are deeper than what I'm actually talking about now. Far, far deeper, and it's no much time to interrogate and engage them, comprehensively. But all I want you to just know is this. The madness you see in the Middle Belt is simply because of the complicity of the leaders, governors in Middle Belt, who are so timid and subservient to the Sokoto Caliphate or the Sultanate of Borno, to the point that they allow the Sokoto Caliphate to dictate for them what happens in their own states. And that must stop. So the fact remains that when you come out to challenge the oligarchic North and to oppose them, let me just be honest with you. The philosophy of Said Qutb and Maulana Maududi is based on submission, domination, and enslavement. Now, what they have succeeded to do over the years is that they have been able to instill fear in our people. Why do you think communities have been attacked, ransacked, people killed, and all that we come out to do is what? To cry, to protest? What nonsense is that?
Well, the Middle Belt is not part of
No,
it's not part of the country alone. We also have the Southwest, The south.
The southwest,
South.
the southwest does not respond to the nonsense that is happening in the middle belt the way we do it.
Okay.
Yes, they have a more technique,
Yes.
for instance. And the point is this: you would never see southwesterners or southeasterners come out to protest, because the point is this: what these fundamentalists and irredentists understand is violence. Why do you think they always use violence to come to the negotiating table to what? Take power anytime they feel that they are being shortchanged for whatsoever reason. Now, the point is this. All I do want to say on this station is this. Like the DSS Director General has admonished, stand up and defend yourself. General T.Y. has made it very, very clear. Stand up and defend yourself. When you look to the government, or you believe that your security lies with the government, you will all die one by one. And the point is this: do you know why I am fearless about all the things I'm saying here? It's because what? To be a victim in Nigeria is not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So the point is this: should we wait till all of us are massacred, till all of us are consumed, before we stand up to speak? The thing is this: the value of life, your value of your own life, my own life, is the same as the value of that life, that statistical figure that our lives have been reduced to.
Yes.
Every day in the middle belt, there is no day in the middle belt that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, endless numbers of people are not killed. But the point is that does it make screaming headlines?
No.
When the 16 northern hunters allegedly were killed in Uromi, screaming headlines.
Of course.
Local and international.
For
But have anyone in the oligarchic north ever condemned the madness on the plateau? Even the Benue State governor, who is coming to cry foul and all of that, people were being killed in Benue, but he was even deodorizing and trying to euphemize it and make it look like, no, these are foreigners and blah, blah, blah. There was nothing. And the same person today is coming out to tell you it's politicians based in Abuja. And the same person was saying some weeks ago that these persons are foreigners. So the issue is this. The British nurtured the Emirate system and the Quranic educational system as a basis for succession upon independence. And by default, this country was actually handed over to the Fulani, if you don't know. And that's why you see the madness and the impunity, the brazen impunity with which they carry out all their attacks on peaceful communities. That there has never been anything like clash on the plateau. I know the plateau man is very peaceful process.
Of course.
We just live our peasant life. We don't even, all that we want to do is produce food, send our children to school, just live our lives.
Of course.
And these marauders come in thousands, attack us, kill us, maim us. Let me be very frank with you.
Yes.
Have we actually, even as middle belt leaders or as governors within the middle belt, been bold enough to call a spade by naming the identity of these attackers? Sorry to say this. A governor in one of the middle belt states was asked by Sean Okumbaloy on Channel TV that who are the people killing the Plateau people? And he said that criminality has no ethnicity. But you here, as a journalist, in your own intro,
Yes.
had made it clear, you are sitting here, that it's the Fulani attackers, it's the Fulani that have been attacking our people and killing and maiming our communities. But the governor of the state will come out to say that criminality has no ethnicity, that even the natives like Birom, Angas, Mwagavel, and the rest have engaged in cattle rustling, and the government has had to pay compensation for all of that. What does that tell you? So the point is this. Look, the time for political correctness is over.
It's over.
We have buried too many people for us to sit down here and to be romanticizing the truth. I am not a politician. I'm an academic. And even if, for instance, if I die today, I will die a proud man, knowing that I fulfill my purpose on earth to what? Unleash the truth and what? Confront the lethal threats that's making the life of our people. We are just reduced to a statistical figure. They kill 100 people, 50 people. Look, let me be frank with you. Do you know the kind of videos I've been receiving?
Of course.
From different communities, even in Mangu, my own local government.
No doubt. We've seen so much of that. But you talked about regional security at first. What you said, that the Southwest don't respond the way we respond.
That's right.
To issues. You talked about Amoteco. That's the regional security. Don't you think it's time for the North Central governors, the Middle Belt governors, to come together and form a very good security architecture. You mentioned some of the some of the borders, linking Nasarawa to other parts of the northern states and even outside the north central states. Let's talk about how we can actually secure this region now.
In fact, we already have a ready-made solution to all of this madness.
Please tell us.
We have Operation Safe Haven, for crying out loud.
But that's just based on the platform.
No. I'm talking about Plateau, for instance.
Okay.
If we strengthen the capacity of the Operation Safe Haven, recruit, train, and arm them, empower the vigilante network within the state. Are we together?
Yes.
To protect our communities at the end of the day. And the thing is, let me be very frank with you. You cannot govern a state that is not inhabited by people. So if you think that, for instance, it is out of your political correctness what people are telling you in Abuja, what people are telling you in Sokoto, that should determine what you do to protect your people, at the end of the day, Daria was governor in this state, Jang was governor, Lalong was governor. Let me be frank with you, all of them have regrets over certain things that they had the opportunity and they have the power and the authority to do, but they didn't do it. So the point is this: would you want? Let me be frank with you. 8 years, as far as I'm concerned, is just like 8 days. So yes, it's just except you're not alive. But 8 years is just like 8 days. When did Mufang come to power? Just like yesterday, and today is already 2 years down the line. And the point is this: after next year, all they'll be talking about are campaigns all over the state. And the point is this: write your name in gold, secure your people, protect. The point is this: the ethos of the Middle Belt Forum is what? We are what? Principally committed to what? Defending our heritage, our people, and our land. And the point is, as a Middle Belt governor, if you don't commit to any of these, to these three cardinal ethos that defines our collectivity, then you are what? You are a complete disaster to our people. Protect our land, protect our people, protect our heritage. How many communities have been taken over by terrorists, Fulani herdsmen? How many places can you go into in Bokos local government area? Look at Kura Wonderland, a very, very amazing tourist destination. Can you go there? The point is this: let's tell ourselves the truth rather than inviting disaster from outside.
Yeah.
Particularly with the Ruga policy that the federal government surreptitiously wants to what? Do, and some people are even calling it a divine help from heaven. And these are the same people who have condemned it, labeled it as evil, and are now saying that it is the what? The greatest what? It is the greatest it is divine help from heaven. At the end of the day, these people will come from different places, from Sierra Leone, from Chad, from Cameroon, from name all the Mali and the rest. Inhabit this place, build their bunkers, arm themselves, prepare, and then by the time they begin to attack from that other flank, which is the extreme of Plateau, and these other ones from Mahanga now come up, they will close us up in the middle. And you and I, or our children who may be alive to witness that, at the end of the day will be extinct. So the thing is this: you see, let me be very, very frank with you. The truth remains the truth. Whether you kill me for saying or speaking the truth, it doesn't change the fact that it's the truth. And the truth is God.
All right.
Because it's unchangeable.
Of course. Let's hear from listeners now who actually have been calling to talk on this issue before we call it. We'll try to get back to the studio to wrap up things because of the time we have. Let's hear from this person. Hello, good morning. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. 7777. Let's talk.
Like this issue of this ranching that have been implemented in Wati. This is a national issue. And I don't think that if the president decides to have a ranching in Wati, the governor will refuse. The governor cannot refuse. So I think that this ranching is a program that can help to stop the problem that we're having in Plateau. If all the headers in Plateau.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I would want to respond to what the last caller just stated.
All right.
Religion, fundamentally and essentially, is a spiritual issue that arises from man's search and quest for answers to the basic, universal, non-material issues of existence. So, having stated that, I want you to understand that I have divorced all of my submission from religion. I did mention that there is an ideology that Said Qutb, Maulana Maudidi. Said Qutb is from Egypt, and Maulana Maudidi is an Indian Pakistani Islamic cleric. These are their own ideologies. And when you look at ISWAP means what? Islamic State West African Province. And they have never denied their relationship and affinity to the Boko Haram. So we are calling a spade a spade. We're not accusing and in any way trying to indict Islam as a religion. Are we together?
Yes.
Which is built on the Quran. But we are talking about an ideology that is what? Championed by these two fundamentalists or extremists. Are we together?
Yeah, of course.
And the point is this: we should understand that anything that is embellished and dressed in the garment of religion always receives what? Massive support. If you want to gather 1 million people over whatever cause that you want to promote, use religion or ethnicity, it becomes easier. Are we together? Rather than appealing to what? Their what? Sensibilities or their intellect. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that let it be very, very clear that this is not in any way an attempt to indict Islam or to what? Indict the Quran as it is, or to cause a religious fight. We're only just what? Exhuming the root of the problem. So that we understand this. For instance, look at over 30 million out-of-school children in the north. That's more than the population of many other African countries. So why is it that the politicians in the north are deliberate in ensuring that the populace or their population or their citizens remain uneducated? It's simply because what? Once you are not educated to understand and what? To be able to interpret and process information, you are at best an animal. So education is a process that inspires what? Critical thinking and reflection. If the northerners or if the mass of the population of the north were to be educated, including the Fulanis, all of this madness would have ended. The point is this: we have to trace the root of the problem, but it doesn't mean that the root would continue. Are we together?
Yeah, of course.
Good. To lead to snowball into many other problems. But the thing is, when you understand the root of the problem, it becomes, you now have what? A basis from which you could what? Attack it.
All right. Well, I think we can't go further, but let me just take a few comments here. Chester Phillips said it was unfortunate that they found themselves in this type of situation in the Middle Belt. Of course, unfortunately, we find ourselves. My people were ambushed and killed yesterday on the road that has 5 checkpoints and no arrest was made. My condolences to the Igbo nation. It happens in the broad daylight, not in the night. While we also have this that saying, good morning, Richard, and the guests in the studio. It's unfortunate that we have very competent people as leaders. Tinubu and his APC cohorts have nothing to offer. 2027 election will be between APC government and Nigerian citizens. God bless GFM family and bless the people. Well, yesterday there was an attack, and of course, funny enough, somebody is saying here that Fulani militias block road yesterday afternoon by 3 Div Golf Club gets killed. Golf Club gets killed 2 injured along Rafiki Miango Road. It's so sad here. This is a wrap this one. Many thanks for joining the program. This very much. We wish we could go further, but of course, other programs need to come on to actually air this morning. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
Dr. Stanley, for your time here. Well, we wish, like I said, it could go further, but this is how we draw the curtain. This very morning on the program. Well, it's been a swell conversation. How are we going to tackle all of this? We're not in safe hands. Like you said, it's not a matter of if in Nigeria, it's a matter of just when. It could be you. So let's be security cautious out there. My name is Richard Badu. Stay tuned to J101.9 FM for more information, entertainment, and of course education this morning.